Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/new music industry. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
You're listening to the New Music Industry with David Andrew Weeb.
Today I'm joined by Managing Partner of Bandsintown, Fabrice Sergent. How are you today, Fabrice?
Hello, David. Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, it's great to connect. So I'm sure many artists are already familiar with Bandsintown, but just in case, for those who don't know, what is Bandsintown all about?
So Bandsintown is for fans the largest concert discovery platform in the world, helping fans never miss a show again and also discover new artists because we also have a very strong recommendation engine. And for artists themselves, it's a whole suite that enables them to connect with their super fans called Bandsintown for Artists, which enables them to both publish tour dates, get access to insights, better tour, sell more tickets, and eventually also post direct-to-fan messaging through the platform and reach a massive audience, which are among the 50 million registered users of Bandsintown.
That's fantastic. And how and why was Bandsintown created?
Well, we've been in around now about 7 years ago. We launched mobile apps, and it helped grow the company quite significantly. Really, the purpose of Bandsintown is to help artists grow their career. We try to really push and promote emerging artists, new artists, developing artists to fans. We have a very specific technology that enables us to do that. And so when we send about 100 million alerts to fans every month to recommend shows, 60% of these shows are from artists they may have never heard before. And 50% of our fans admit that they went to concerts of an artist that they had never heard before. So the purpose is really to grow the market, not only by making sure that fans are aware of their favorite artist, tour dates, but also help increase the pie by helping fans to discover new music and new artists, and therefore artists grow faster.
Which means this is a great platform for independent artists to get the news out about their shows too, right?
Yes, it's a very so every day we send about 500,000 people to ticketing companies to buy tickets every single day, and so it's half about of these recommendations really are sent to shows of artists of less than 200,000 followers on Bandsintown. So we do indeed help developing artists and indie artists to grow their career faster.
That's fantastic. And we do know that live performance represents one of the biggest portions of the music industry in many ways. How do you see that changing over time? Do you think it'll continue to be really the main thing in the music industry?
Well, it's fascinating to see how the music industry is transforming itself for the better. Because, over the last 10 years, I mean, in context of the decline of the recorded music and the record industry, so to speak, we saw live music become the main revenue stream for artists, and it's still today probably for most of them 80% of their revenue. Now, obviously, music streaming is helping and pushing for a strong revival of this entire industry, and so now, definitely recorded music is back to growth. So now I'm seeing also lots of interest from brands and advertisers to support this industry So look, I think music is universal, and there's so much passion and interest around music that this industry is going to continue to transform itself. Now, most analysts think that it's going to double or triple in size over the next 10 years.
Wow.
So hard to predict what revenue stream will be predominant. What is probably interesting, I think, is that one can be very optimistic about the ability for creators, for artists, for the creative community to find ways to support itself, and therefore to the benefits and the pleasure of the fans.
Yeah, so live music is still alive, right? Which I think for some artists,
more than ever.
Yeah, for some independent artists, that's going to be hard to believe, just because they're doing pay to play shows, or they're getting $50 a night to play in certain venues. But when you look at the bigger picture of what's happening across the industry, it's a huge growth market.
Well, and don't get me wrong, I know that being an artist is a struggle by itself. Even more if you're a new artist or a developing artist. It's a fight of every day. And that's why we're trying to do our best to help them. Everything we provide is free, by the way. I didn't mention that. But we contribute value to the artist. We don't extract value from the artist. We do have a very strong business model for Bandsintown, but we don't charge the artist. And that's certainly where we're very proud. We know that it's hard, but we know that we can provide great tools to better engage with the fan, and therefore to eventually sell more tickets.
Yeah, I think perhaps one of the greatest myths of all is just that things are easy somehow. Whether it's starting your own online business or getting into music or becoming an athlete, that somehow it's going to be an easy ride where you don't encounter any challenges. And we just know that's not the case in music. There's a lot going on every single day, and trying to sell yourself on talent alone is going to be tough. There has to be some kind of draw or some kind of reason that people are going to come out to your show.
Well, that's a long journey.
It is.
and I would say that it's definitely not a linear journey. It's you have to go through many setbacks and keep hope and the energy and the willingness to create to not only to deliver a message and entertain fans. Now, fans reward usually artists which find ways and authentic ways actually to connect with them. So the best way to live this journey is to live it together with the fans. And to build this momentum by being always truly and fundamentally connecting with the fans.
I think that's a great point. And in a world where people are bombarded with content and information and all that, I would posit that musicians have a bit of an advantage because they can create an experience for their fans. They can put on a show, and it's not just more content or information. It really truly is an experience and a connection and a way to reach people emotionally. So that's definitely one of the powers of music, I believe.
Yes, but that's what's important to understand is also that this moment, this experience it doesn't do it all. It's important to understand that there's a before, there's a during, and there's an after.
Yes.
And the fans live a life, let's say, that is not only happening at the time when they are in that venue cheering their favorite artist in this unique moment. They also prepare the moment itself. They're planning. They are trying to discover things to do and where to buy tickets. They're also, after the show, very happy. They're sharing photos. They are doing things, but then they switch to something else. So having some sort of an ability to build a strong brand, to grow a consistent and coherent presence online through Instagram, Bandsintown, and other platforms to rightfully and with relevance message the fans and engage with them all along the life cycle of an artist, which is, as we know, there's moments when artists are working on albums, there are others when they are on tour, there are others when they announce an album or they promote merch. All this creates opportunities to engage with the fans, but it has to be done not only right at the moment when we need to sell tickets or the day before you need to sell merch. It's an ongoing conversation that they have to entertain if they want to get a good reception when they absolutely need actually to trigger a transaction. So this is something that is that's why I'm talking about a journey. And for me, it's more a marathon than a sprint. So it's, if I use sports as an analogy, it's a journey, and it's a journey that needs to be, organized and delivered with discipline.
I really love that. It's such a great point that it doesn't happen by accident. A lot of times we'll watch the pros perform at the Super Bowl or an award ceremony or whatever and think that the moment where we felt a certain way about the song or the singer or the way it was presented somehow just came together by accident, that we're the only one feeling it in the crowd, right? Because we have that limited perspective. We are who we are, we are not a group. Each one of us is an individual. So sometimes we miss that. There's so much planning that goes into each and every show to create those moments.
Yes, it may happen by accident.
Sometimes
it's indeed you can also fall in love by accident, and you can also this is not, emotion are sometimes very strong, and yes but it's not certainly the rule, and it's not the way one should plan to make it. If that's at least an advice for sure. The best way to think about it is that if it happens by accident, fine, and that's great, and that's just even better. But I think that I think Pasteur said chances favors the prepared mind. It's you have to create your own chances, and then things may happen by accident. So in other words, be very disciplined in building this community, being true and honest to the fans, being engaged and trying to engage all along the year. I mean, and not only when you need it. This whole set of advice are true no matter what. And if something happened by accident, great.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't, you don't want to turn off that element of luck or turn it away, as it were.
But, you need luck as well. But I think that, talent and perseverance and hard work favors luck.
Yes. And you make such a great point there about the fact that sometimes artists will put out new releases without any plan, and they haven't talked to their fans in months or maybe even years, and they release this thing expecting and hoping that everybody's going to want to buy it or stream it or listen to it or whatever, and then they're surprised to find that only a portion of those people are still interested in them. It really is important it's a key thing to keep engaging your fans all along.
Yeah, that's at least what we see for most successful careers.
Yes, absolutely. So before we got chatting today and recording, one of the things you mentioned that Bandsintown has new functionality. So what is that?
Well, we offered 2 years ago the ability to artists to post direct messaging to fans, but that was a little bit it's kind of a beta version, and it did not enable artists to post and target geographically. So now artists can log into Bandsintown for artists and to their account. They'll still be able, obviously, to publish their tour dates and access their insight and see where their fans are. But that what's new is that now we enable those who use our tools and just to post directly to their fans on a geo-targeted basis, and that's that's complete different. It's a game changer because they used to be also able to message RSVPs, so fans who bookmark in a way the shows and shows intent to go to the show. They used to be able to also message the past RSVPs for those who had RSVPs for previous shows, but now they'll be able to do that for each city using a radius to define how far they want to message, and so that's super efficient. We also changed the way we present stats and KPIs to explain engagement. So it's almost as good as the artist email platform, or it's really direct to fans. We don't filter, we don't ask them to pay anything. We have thousands of artists who are using it. From Taylor Swift to David Guetta I just don't want to drop names because it's pretty much the large community of artists. The Weeknd, or in every genre, we see artists using now this platform, and these new functionalities really turn this platform into the most efficient direct-to-fan communication platform for artists in the world. I think there's nothing comparable. And again, you can always post on Facebook, but only maybe 5% of your post will be seen by the fan if you don't pay to boost such post.
Yes.
You may on Instagram slightly different, but still level of engagement varies a lot because that they also have an algorithm that filters and kind of make post more difficult to see. So this platform really is great for artists and their super fans, and because that's what we have the music enthusiast. So yes, we feel it's urgent for artists to revisit their accounts, just because if they haven't used this functionality, they just should try.
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the things you got into there a little bit was this whole thing of data, and data really is becoming key. I'm sure for some people, that's going to be like new territory. For others, it's just going to be a tired subject about numbers and things and demographics and things they don't even want to look at anymore. But I think utilizing that data well will definitely become key, and is already key to having a successful career.
Yeah, we try to provide lots of insights, and we're going to add a new one soon. So artists can already see how many fans are following them on Bandsintown. We call them trackers, where they live. So we show a heat map, so that helps also plan the tour. We show them RSVPs by geos, so again that shows them how much engagement they get after the tour announcements on each geographies, and help them predict in which markets they will have to boost and promote the show. But we add Play My City, so we now have lots of opportunities. We offer lots of opportunities to fans to push that button called Play My City on artist websites, on Bandsintown, the app, or our own websites. And we will share with artists the results of this ask, which is super interesting. In fact, we've been aggregating data now for a few months. We will be channeling this data to the artists through the Bandsintown for Artists platform, and I'm sure they're going to love it. I'm sure they're going to see opportunities to add new dates. Within a tour, they'll see maybe some love that they didn't suspect. So it's going to be fascinating. I'm very excited by this new feature.
Absolutely, that's terrific. And the other new thing that you mentioned was charts. So what's happening with charts?
Well, we published and made available at bandsintown.com/charts, and also through Hypebot.com, the do-it-yourself artist platform that we acquired 6 months ago. So on both bandsintown.com and hypebot.com, one can get access to 24 charts, 10 markets in the US, showing how fast and what kind of momentum artists are getting in each market in terms of live music. So you may find recorded music charts on Billboard, and actually our live music charts are also accessible through Billboard. It's called the Bandsintown Billboard Touring Index. But you can find recorded music charts on Billboard on other platforms. Spotify has its own thing. Nobody has, touring data like ticket clicks and that kind of engagement. And so that helps us showcase not only how established artists are, performing on Bandsintown, but most interestingly, also these live music charts show how emerging artists are trending on each market. And that's a gift that we are, offering to these emerging artists and developing artist community, because hopefully if they show up in these charts, it's going to help them pitch venues and promoters to be booked. We already know that venues and promoters rarely book artists without checking Bandsintown and see, the kind of following they get in a specific market. But here we are essentially showcasing much smaller artists than what they used to be exposed to, and hopefully helping these artists grow faster and find a better living.
That's right. I forgot about the Hypebot acquisition. It's kind of a big deal, I think. But back in the day when I was first getting started in blogging and podcasting about the music industry, every day I would just scan the content, read about it, just really acquaint myself with everything I possibly could about the music business and industry.
Yeah, we felt that we were completely aligned on values and how we approach the business with Bruce from Hypebot, and we see just the same passion for artists, the same passion for the same respect for their commitment to engage with fans and entertain fans and to music. And so yes, he built an amazing brand and collection of news that really help, hopefully, such artists to grow faster, and it's very complementary from what we're trying to accomplish on our end. So it was kind of a natural move.
Definitely. And I mean, it's also a point to the importance of being a publisher, having a publication, having a way of sharing news and messages and important content for artists. Definitely. I think that's such a cool thing. Now, I always want to tease out some insights into, the music business, because my listeners, some of them are music careers and have music careers, and they're looking to take a business-based approach to their career. And some listeners actually have their own small or medium-sized music business of their own that are always looking to optimize, improve, find more streams of revenue and so forth. So one of the things I'd like to ask is, what is the greatest struggle you've ever overcome?
As a company or as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, yes.
Yes, indeed, there are lots of similarities, I think, between artists and entrepreneurs. That's probably why we understand each other so well.
Absolutely.
But at least it's look. There's a lot of the part of the entrepreneur's life is somehow lonely, because you have to face difficulties and responsibilities, and there's no way to escape from it, so to speak. Part of the entrepreneur's life is also to be able to build brand and a team, and rely on mentors and build so trust. And that's very similar to what artists have to do with their own mentors, their teams, and their fans. So there's a lot of similarities. I think the most exciting is that being an artist demands to be innovative, for sure, and that's what also drive at least tech entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general. I guess the trick or the important part of that is to make sure that you know what you want to build, and you're really truly passionate about it. You're sincerely, deeply passionate about it. I don't see, and I don't think artists can really tour or express themselves if they're not passionate about it. But it's super important to grow all of this out of passion. That what. And I think in a way it's probably impossible to do it without passion, because it's so hard that the energy wouldn't be there. Mm-hmm. But that's an important check. Is this really what I want to do? What I'm trying to accomplish? Where am I heading from a brand perspective? What message do I bring to this world? That's super important.
Mm. I'm laughing what you said about loneliness, because I was just reflecting on that in the last few days, maybe even the last week or so. I recently moved from Calgary, where I know lots of people, over to Abbotsford, which is about 10 hours west. And I know some people in this area, but definitely a lot fewer. And at times it is kind of lonely to engage in this work daily. But I, try to keep everything in view and consider what else I could be doing to connect with people and all that. So it's a great point.
Yes, it's as I said, it's perseverance is and grit and passion is really key to
yes.
both to run businesses and to be an artist.
Yes, definitely. Okay, on the flip side of that, what are the greatest victories you've had as an entrepreneur?
Well, I like small victories, meaning that every day is another victory, and if every moment, every instance is some sort of, you hopefully can call some of them as victories. I think, look, every time we're very privileged. We provide happiness to lots of people. We think we send about 1 to 2 million people to concert every month, and so with the kind of pleasure and happiness that concert and live music create among fans, that's enough of a victory, if you want to call that collectively. But individually, when we hear that, people were so happy to either discover a new artist or attend a show they almost missed, and we're so grateful to Bandsintown for its commitments to help never miss a show. That makes us as a team very proud and very happy. Artists also are very, frankly, rewarding. They share how Bandsintown helps them sell more tickets, how Bandsintown help them build communities. So these kind of moments are probably the happiest one we can have.
Yeah, that would be the greatest motivation, I would think. And are there any books that have helped you on your journey?
Plenty.
That's great.
Plenty. Not necessarily in let's say the broad answer to that is that you would be, in my opinion, there are books that may not necessarily relate to business or music who may help on the journey. In other words, I love poetry. When I read a poetry author, it helps me with my journey. I think it helps me as much as giving you an answer and telling you that, yes, I love this book from this great entrepreneur, or this biography, or this, New York Times bestseller. I think everybody can find a balance one way or the other, and that's what I would recommend. Just not reading books that are recommended from the business perspective.
Yeah, no, I relate to that a lot. I read a lot of books that don't have anything to do with the music business or music industry, and that's where some of the greatest insights and stuff come from, and that's been super valuable to me. So thanks so much for your time and generosity, Fabrice. Is there anything else I should have asked?
No, thank you so much for this conversation. We're very very grateful for all listeners and for your interest in Bandsintown, because overall we hope that all together we can help this live music community thrive and always enjoy more music.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you sharing. So thanks again.
Thanks, David.
All right. So we talked a little bit about loneliness in this episode, and I think there was just a little bit of an adjustment period moving here to Abbotsford. And at this point, it's been 3 complete months, which is honestly hard to believe. But I've watched as some acquaintances moved here recently, and some of my other friends are planning to move here. And I had a little bit of a social circle, so it's not like I didn't have kind of a home base to start with. I feel like I'm much more stable now. I didn't really expect for it to take that long for me to get used to my new environment. And in fact, I don't think it did. It was maybe just more so the shock of everything that had happened this year and all the personal development that I'd gone through and the changes that I made and just moving in general. So much had happened, and it was really a chaotic move coming to Abbotsford. I really don't want to duplicate all of that again, and I don't really like reflecting on all of the things that happened as I was leaving Calgary as well. One of the things was just that I wanted to sell a lot of my belongings before leaving, and only managed to sell a couple things. And in the last minute, it just felt like really scattered and disorganized, and we still had to move things into the car before, like the morning that we were leaving Calgary, we still had to put things into the car. That, along with my car breaking down on the way to Abbotsford, basically just an hour outside, not even an hour outside of Abbotsford, was kind of a shock altogether. But I guess all that to say, I feel much better about where I am now. I really love this part of the world. I love the weather. It rains a lot, and it's less cold than Calgary by a huge margin. It doesn't snow a whole lot here either, so that's a huge difference compared to what I used to. But yeah, I feel much better about where I am now. So that's all I wanted to say in closing. But if you'd like to check out the Music Entrepreneur Code and get on the waiting list, that's really my first major project of the year for 2020 is the Music Entrepreneur Code. Go to musicentrepreneurhq.com/code. I'm David Andrew Reep, and I'll see you on the stages of the world.
Thank you for listening. Music in this episode was brought to you by Brian Young. Wherever you're listening to this right now, please consider leaving a 5-star review and comment to help us get the word out about the podcast.